Hello everyone, my name is Ms. Koshra and I'm currently a student intern at CSU Pueblo. So the reason for this video today is to create a fun new kind of game and review into multiplication. So this is for 3rd grade, but it can be used for any grade level as well, even as a review or an introduction. So the standard I will be talking about today is to represent and solve problems involving multiplication. You can add a division in this as well, but this is mostly just going to stay with multiplication. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on today. Okay, and we're also going to be representing our multiplication in 2 models. So for this lesson, there's a couple materials you'll need. So you will need some dice. You can at least have 2 with you. If you need to, you can use more. I'll explain more about this later. You also need a sheet of graph paper. It's never a bad idea to have a couple of sheets just in case you mess up, because we will be working with colors and sometimes they don't erase that well or can't erase. So the other thing, like I just said, we'll be using colors. So my favorite is to use these little fine tip washable Crayola markers. These will work the best just because they're kind of dark. You can kind of see where your lines are. We will be outlining the squares in the graph paper. So you want to use multiple colors. That way you can see it visually a little bit better. Now you don't have to use these markers specifically. You can use colored pencils or crayons or pens or whatever you want. I just recommend using different colors. Also, with the graph paper, I recommend using the bigger squares than the smaller ones just because those kind of get difficult to see. So go ahead and grab all of these materials and then resume the video when you are ready to go. Alright, so as you can see, I have all of my materials here. I got my graph paper, markers, and some dice. Now, like I said before, you don't need all of the dice. I just grabbed them now so that way we're prepared. The next thing, your graph paper, you will want it cut in half for this first round. It will just be a lot easier and it'll go quicker. So go ahead and cut it in half. You can do this either with scissors, or I fold mine in half and can rip it apart like that. So go ahead and do that and then resume the video when you are ready. So go ahead and grab 1/2 of the graph paper. You can give the other piece to somebody else. Now here's the next important thing. You're going to want to be into groups of either at least 2 people or more. It doesn't really matter, just whatever you're kind of wanting to play with. I recommend 2 though. So this game is kind of a race as well, so you want to be thinking fast. So here's how we are going to play. So with your 2 dice, you're going to go ahead and you're going to roll them. Okay? Sorry, this one fell out of camera, but this one is a 5 and a 4. So we're going to multiply these 2. So what does it mean when we think of 5 and 4? What does it mean when we multiply 2 numbers? It should be that there are groups. So you could think of it either as there are 5 groups of 4 or 4 groups of 5. So we're going to show that on here. So we're going to go ahead and put our 2 dice up here. So remember, we're looking at 5 and 4. Now, I'm going to go ahead and flip this that way as well, so that way you can see it from this angle and the top angle. You're going to go ahead and grab your marker. I'm going to just start off with blue because I like blue. So, we're going to represent our model on the graph paper. Okay, so I went ahead and I drew my diagram. That way you guys didn't have to sit here and watch me do it. So, as you can see with my model here, I went up by 4 squares. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. And across by 5. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 5 times 4 is 20. So, there will be 20 squares inside of here. Now, you'll do that again. And so, you'll roll it again. So, I got 6 times 1. So I'll draw my next diagram. So I'll draw it right next to my other one. So we're here, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, just like that. So 6 times 1 equals, what does it equal, guys? If you said 6, you are correct. All right, now, here's the game. As you can see, I have this clear little plastic piece on the edge of my paper. So I couldn't move my diagram over any because that was the edge of my paper. It'll wipe off if I write it on this little film. So that's why I wrote it right next to it. You can kind of see with the shine on where it ends. Now you can also see that there's like a little half square at the top of my page. It also goes along this side and the bottom. You're not going to be using those half squares. You're only going to be using whole squares. So to make this game a little more interesting, with your partner, you're going to take turns flipping the dice. So I'm going to flip my dice first. I did, and I got 5 times 4. My partner will flip theirs. They flipped theirs, they got 6 times 3. So on their piece of graph paper, they're going to do the same thing. So they're going to draw a box that represents 6 times 3 on their page. Then it'll be my turn again. So I'll go. And then I roll again and roll, and I got the 6 times 1. Now you're going to draw these pictures right next to each other. So here's how you win the game. You have to be the first one to fill up your entire sheet of graph paper. Okay? So that's how you need to play this game. The first one to fill it up obviously wins. But make sure you don't get none of them wrong, because then you'll be in trouble. So you're asking, Miss Kostra, what do I do if, say you filled up your entire sheet and you only have 4 squares left in the bottom? So these are your only 4 squares left down here. What do I do? That means you have to keep rolling until you get either 2 times 2 or 4 times 1. You have to get the exact number to fill in what is left. And that goes for any other space. Okay? So these will all be connected to each other. Now you're saying, Miss Kostra, this is too easy. I know how to do this. Go ahead and add in 2 more dice. Okay? So now with these ones, we can do this multiple ways. So the first way is you can go ahead and split them up. So go ahead and roll 2 at a time. So roll. Okay, I got 3 and 2. Okay, so I'll put that up here. I'm going to roll the other pair. So roll. Got them. 6 and 1. So you can either add these up. So I can say 3, 4, and 5. So 5 times 6, 7 times 7. So 5 times 7, and then draw that. Or if you're really good at multiplication, you can multiply these numbers. So multiply 3 times 2. What's the answer? If you said 6, that is correct. So you do 6 times whatever number's here. So this is 6 times 1, which is 6. So 6 times 6 is what? 36. So that means you'll have to draw a 6 by 6 diagram. And that's it. It's that simple. So as you can see here, I have filled out my entire card. So, and I beat my partner, so that means I won. So for some of the smaller parts, it's kind of hard to see what you wrote. So you can always use like a pencil. Like for when I wrote yellow, I did it in a pencil. That way you could still read what I wrote. But that's all I have for you. So go ahead and roll your dice and see who wins. You can do this as many times as you want. If you fill out one sheet, go ahead and do another half, or if you're going to do with sticking with the bigger numbers, you can go ahead and use a full sheet as well because it will take up more squares. Alright, that's it. Bye-bye.